Hello everyone, welcome to the last content update for Nerdhaven Season 4. It's been a while and I apologize for teasing February as our potential launch date, or at the very least a window where we'll finally announce it. Unfortunately, we ran into a few modding related issues that slowed down our progress. In our previous two videos, you saw Durin's Rest in Blue Mountains and Rivendell. Now it's time to show you the bad guys. Bree, Hobbiton, and the surrounding area of Eriador will be a piece of cake. Stormy has some exciting plans for those places, and I can't wait to share them with you. Once they're ready, of course. The biggest hurdle for now is the Elven capital in Greenwood. But fear not, Stormy has a plan for it too. And we have a bunch of cool assets ready to go. As you already know, map modding takes time, money, and lots of effort. Years of work, and hundreds of dollars. We had a few months and a very modest budget, so it's kind of a miracle we got this far. But the more we tried to speed up the process by purchasing assets from online marketplaces, the more we realized what's being advertised isn't always game ready or as pretty as it is in the screenshots. A lot of the time, the assets we purchased had to be put into Blender and heavily modified. Unfortunately, we're on a very tight schedule and none of us are professional 3D artists. That means not everything will be perfect, and assets might require a bit more polish after the season ends. So please keep that in mind and adjust your expectations accordingly. We tried our best, but at this point, launching as soon as possible is our biggest priority. If the map works well and players like it, we can always improve it after the season ends. And now, let's talk building. This is the rough outline of our playable map. In person, without teleporting, it's quite big. Definitely big enough for our season and all our plans. But it's not exactly made for player builds, large bases and individual little homes. If we have, let's say, 50 Greenwood elves, the poor Greenwood forest would soon turn into a Greenwood metropolis. And that wouldn't exactly be immersive or lore friendly. We are fully aware a large portion of the community are dedicated builders who love building taverns, huge bases, and cozy little villages that make the server pretty and exciting to RP on. Our map is new. We have no idea how it's going to perform and if it's even going to be stable. We want to make sure it at least has a chance to perform well. And if there is one universal culprit on both official servers and modded servers alike, it's the building pieces. Large, fully decorated bases that are just there, with little to no active RPers around to use them. The more of them on the server for players to keep loading, the worse the server performs. This is why this season, we would like to limit building as much as possible, and only keep it for unique RP projects, faction strongholds, and perhaps small decorative touches. Please keep that in mind before you join our season. This will not exactly be a season dedicated to builders and their craft. And even though in Lord of the Rings universe it does make full sense for most people to not have their own full decorated homes, for soldiers to sleep in barracks or in tents, and for families to live together in small huts, we also understand that having your own place to RP is important. We will deliver dorm rooms, huts, or even personal houses depending on the faction you decide to play for. There will be options. Alright, that's enough about building. Now, let's talk professions. Last time we showed you our plans for blacksmithing. Now, let's have a look at what the cooks and healers can do. Whether you like cooking and food mechanics in survival sandbox games, I think we can all admit that there is more potential to it than just consuming a pretty icon and seeing your nutritional values going up. Cooking is a universally loved profession on pretty much every RP server, but mechanically, there aren't that many things that can be done with it when it comes to skill, uniqueness, or randomness. Ark Survival Evolved and ASA give you the ability to create your own recipes, descriptions, and even icon images for the consumables in-game you make as a player. You can influence the stats and create overpowered foods or poisons if you know what ingredients to use. Conan unfortunately does not allow this level of complexity. So, how do we make the cooking profession special and rewarding? The only way we can do that is through buffs. Speaking of buffs, I don't exactly like it when you can craft yourself an accessory ring and suddenly you hit harder, regenerate faster, or you can all of a sudden be immune to poisons. Everyone has access to it, so everyone crafts it and forgets about it, which means the buff becomes an inherent part of your gear and you either have it or fall behind. But if the buff is tied to a consumable, runs out in let's say 10 minutes, you then have to come back to the source and get some more, and all of a sudden, you get RP and a recurring money sink. So, what is my grand plan for the cooking profession? Percentage-based buffs on quality foods and debuffs on low quality foods or alcohol. Everyone will be able to cook the very basic cheap and horrible foods that will quench thirst and satisfy hunger, but also introduce high chances for bad digestion, tummy aches, and other forms of unpleasant side effects. As a non-cook profession character who wants to be self-sufficient, you will still be allowed to buy better foods from NPCs, but you can also buy a recipe book that will teach you how to cook some basic, dignified foods that have no downsides but also have no special properties. And special properties is what differentiates a professional cook from a non-cook. If you were paying attention to our PvP testing sessions and my design philosophy, you may remember that every faction has some sort of a weakness. Dwarves are short and easily staggerable, Bree nerds lack DPS, Rangers lack armor, Elves lack health and regeneration, Evil guys are kinda crappy at everything, but not as bad as the Hobbits who aren't really built for PvP. But faction-specific foods can change that, or at the very least, partially lessen these shortcomings. From the faction perspective, having access to these exclusive meals and drinks should promote trading with other factions and give players a chance to craft new, stronger builds and synergies. And that should hopefully create plenty of RP and dependencies. I know the current food roster isn't that impressive, but there are only so many buffs and debuffs I can introduce to avoid breaking the game entirely. On the other hand, creating icons, descriptions, and copying existing properties is pretty easy. So here's my promise to you. If you decide to commit to this profession, if you do a good job as a cook, or work full-time in a Bree tavern, you or someone else who witnessed all this great RP from you can file a ticket, and I will create a personalized food dedicated to your character, either as another faction available recipe, or a private recipe only your character will be able to cook. The choice will be yours. You will have a say when it comes to the name, icon, and the description, and I'll take care of the rest. I know this isn't as involved as the Ark mechanic of creating your own foods and recipes, but this is the best thing I could think of to add at least some personalized variety to the cooking profession. And how does one make all these foods? With a stove. There will be one in every faction capital. The ingredients is simple, just cooking supplies. You will get those from daily quests or you can buy them from NPCs. Better foods will of course cost a bit more. And now it's time to discuss the healing profession. There are several ways to heal yourself this season, and all of them involving in-game consumables are allowed. That's right, you can finally shovel food down your throat during a duel, and we won't ban you for it. The heal has been modified to be very modest at best, and it pales in comparison when it comes to dedicated healing consumables. The first one is a healing brew. is the traditional potion with slowdown animation and with a short penalty to introduce downsides for drinking them in the middle of a fight mindlessly. Compared to the wraps or bandages, it is an immediate health boost. The healing wraps, on the other hand, heal you over time. You will essentially get a regenerative boost that lasts for quite a while, so using them strategically can prolong the duel quite a bit. But you need to think before you start applying them, because it fully stops you and only starts applying the effect once the animation is done. And it can get interrupted, of course. But that's not all. With all these scrappy debuffing foods, sharp weapons causing bleed, gouge, and sunder, and to give healers even more PvP and RP relevancy, I added 3 curative tonics. The first one cures all bleed and gouge effects, and also introduces a 30-second immunity to them. The second one does the same thing for sunder effects. And the third one simply fixes your crummy stomach, and cures all those annoying low-quality food debuffs. Except the healing potion, of course. That one is there for balance reasons. Though, as you can see, there are clear synergies and plenty of useful things to craft, no matter what profession you choose. And all of them can have quite an impact on PvP and RP. So, if you wish to support your faction without directly getting your hands dirty, you can definitely do so. A lot of these curatives can also have medical RP relevancy. And just like with food options, I will be more than happy adding some more as the season progresses. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for keeping up with all the updates, and all I can say for now is that both me and Stormy, we feel pretty confident that March might be the month when we will finally launch. So keep your eyes out on all the other announcements. Of course, no promises as always. It's pretty much impossible to pinpoint the exact day when we will be ready. There is still plenty of other things that need to be finished and brought to the finish line, but we're trying our best. We're working as fast as we can, and we would like to thank you for all the support, for just being around, and for being patient with us. I know that it's quite annoying waiting 7 months for a freaking season, but that is what we do. We don't want to rush. We want to make sure that we will launch only whenever we're ready, and we're getting there. So thank you again for all your patience. We will see you soon.